Hi, I'm Elizabeth Lambert, owner of Elizabeth Lambert Designs and Personal Styling. My boutique is a place for women to come and find the beauty that's hidden inside of their hearts. My philosophy is fashion does not define beauty. You define beauty. Tell us what you are and who you are by what you wear. At my shop, you're going to find first-class treatment because I am client-centered and all about you. My contact information is info@Elizabeth Lambert Designs and Personal Styling. I would love to help you find your next dress.
Hi, I'm Karen, and this is Fireside. Welcome, ladies. We are going to have a little fireside chat. We'll pretend like we have a fire right here going. And we are being hosted tonight by Working Wines. They are in Woodinville. We're in their lovely tasting room. And we have special appetizers tonight by Deborah Peterson and Vineyard Catering. Thank you, gals, for being all here. We have a studio audience. This is our pilot for our fireside show. And I am so thrilled to have Deanna Nowadnick here with me. Deanna, welcome.
Thank you. And as we get started, can I say on behalf of all of us here in your delightful Fave community, what a joy it is to be a part of this thing you're creating, this chance to support women, to encourage each other, and to celebrate so many stories.
Oh, thank you. And I thought I was going to be introducing her. Thank you. Yes, what a great way to start out. We are going to be telling women's stories. We're celebrating passions of the heart. And there's so much to this. There's so many great stories I've heard as I'm interviewing different women to be guests on our show, what they are doing, what they are changing the world one woman at a time and helping each other out. And I thought, what a perfect way to start. You are an author, a speaker, a mentor. You have written 2 books, Fruit of My Spirit and Signs in Life. Oh my goodness. And we're going to talk a little bit more about these a little later. Mm-hmm. But let's talk a little bit about you first. Tell us a little bit about you and your family and how you kind of got started down this journey.
Well, I live in Monroe. I'm married to a young man that I met at PLU, and I have 2 adult sons. And that's really how and why I started writing. As the boys got older, they wanted to know how Mom met Dad. And let's just say I was not in the library studying at the time. So before things digressed into too many tee-hee moments, I wanted my boys to know how they had been part of a very blessed family, a wonderful marriage. And so I decided to write a story about love and expected to put it on pretty paper, run up to Staples, put it in a beautiful binder, and bestow it upon them at the next family gathering. Well, one story on love turned into a story on joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And at that point I went, oh, wow, I wrote a book. I really wrote a book. And so anyone within earshot knew that Deanna had written a book.
Yeah.
So it really started with just wanting to tell one story.
Yes. And that's really what Fave is about, is telling stories. And that's why I invited you, because when you go and speak, you talk about women's stories. Mm-hmm. And I just want the gals to know how important that is as we go through life. We see our self-worth as we look at our stories and see our accomplishments and see really what we've done. It's like, wow, maybe we are pretty special.
Yeah. And we are so supportive of each other, but we have a hard time at times telling our own story because we think that everyone else has it so pulled together. When we come out at night, the mascara's on, we clean up pretty nicely, and we forget that we all have these special stories that connect us, special challenges, special trials, special times that really do connect and are wonderful ways in which we can support each other.
Yes. So I just want to point out, so I was getting my lashes done earlier today.
I love
and,
lashes.
And I was reading the beginning of her book, and I was sitting there giggling because I could relate to it so much about your story. And the first line was, "I'm a mess." And you went on from there, and I'm just like, oh, that's me.
Yeah.
We think we have to be so perfect and with perfect hair and perfect lashes and perfect this, but underneath it, there's the gray and
The replaced joints, the eyeshadow that's, I think, on my cheeks right now. Yes, those moments, yes.
Yes, and then I think you went on to say, talking about, well, maybe the inside wasn't quite as so perfect either.
Yeah. I'm a little older now, and I appreciate the ability to look back and really support and encourage a young woman who really wanted to have it all pulled together and didn't. And I couldn't do that as a younger person, and now to be able to give that younger woman, that young girl, grace and the love and support I couldn't give to myself at 14, at 34. It's a gift to myself and has allowed me to connect with other women in so many delightful ways because, we all struggle. We all have so many special challenges that can really isolate us at times. And I think you heard from someone even before tonight about that isolation.
We did. We were doing a live video the other day, and a woman came and wrote a message to me that about being visible, and she felt invisible. And she wrote that I always feel invisible, and I don't matter. I want to go from life happening to me and just surviving to living my life. I spent so many years just trying to get through life. And I think as we tell our stories, we'll realize that we really do matter.
Yeah, we do. And one of my whys for storytelling is doing it for ourselves. Our memories they pile on top of each other. I think about it like that closet we all have where you just keep putting stuff in and shut the door and you figure you'll organize it later. Memories can be like that. Experiences can be like that. And when we write about them, all of a sudden it gives you a chance to sort through, to organize. In one of my books, I tell the story about hitting the garage door as a 17-year-old. That story has loomed large, mainly because Dad loomed large. That story has loomed large for decades. And until I got that story down on paper, could I see that it was really a smaller incident in a 17-year-old's all about me all the time life at that moment. So it gives us a chance to just kind of reorganize, reprioritize, and say, okay, that really wasn't such a big deal. And on the same token, it also gives us a chance, some of those small moments that we may not think are that significant, in looking back and getting some words down on paper, that was big. That was big. That is why I hurt right now. That is why I find great joy in that way. So it's an important why to do it for ourselves.
Right. And I think when we tell our stories too, we learn from each other.
Yeah, we do.
As I was reading part of, from your book, I'm like, oh, that happened to her too. And maybe not the exact same way, but it, just makes my story feel like it's okay. Other people go through some of these things, and then maybe my story can help somebody else out.
Well, another why is we're not red states and blue states. We're not liberals and conservatives. We're not pro this, anti that. We are wonderfully creative, beautifully unique, And our stories connect us in ways that so much of the news doesn't. Issues of the day will always divide us, But the passions of our hearts will always connect us.
Yes, I agree. And I was asked to consider going to Peru and tell women's stories there, because women everywhere have a lot of the same issues. You know, we have issues about aging because we all get older. And women want to feel beautiful.
Yes,
How do we feel beautiful when things start happening?
Yes, we do.
You know? And women in other places have those same thoughts. And how do we get through it together? Because it's so much better doing it together than alone.
Yes, it is.
You know?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, we're a wonderful community.
Yes, so we are. That is creating that community. So tell us a little highlight from one of your books. Do you have a short story you could tell us?
Oh my goodness, so many short stories. I think I love the story about meeting Kurt, which is really how I got started writing. Back in college, my priorities were a little high schoolish. You know, I just wanted him to be cute, and I wanted him to start on the football team. So Kurt was introduced to me by some older classmates, and my goodness, I think about how a very trivial experience, you know, a time when all my priorities were in all the wrong places. I got to connect with a wonderful man who has been an absolute delight, who has been there to encourage and support me in ways I never expected, never imagined, and is a great dad. So, yes. And I love that, you know, the two of us and Kurt, what a mentor he is to two young men. And I watch my boys now who have become fathers in the last year, to two delightful little grand boys. What wonderful young men they've become.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wonderful one. So out of a trivial moment over some drumettes and a pitcher of beer, here we are.